Well, it is an NFC East battle this weekend. The Cowboys hosting the division-leading Philadelphia Eagles. But can Dallas make it 2 wins in a row after their big win over the Raiders? Joining me to talk all things football this Friday is Locked On Cowboys podcast host Landon McCool. Good morning, Landon. Happy Friday. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning and happy Friday.
All right, first up, what we've really had to start most of these conversations with this season, the injury report. Anyone we're worried about or any big returns we'll see this week?
I don't know that we have anybody that we're worried about. I mean, the bye was really good for the Cowboys, not only in getting some acquiring talent, but getting some healthy guys back. We saw Malik Hooker, who was dealing with a little bit of a turf toe, come back last week. He was on the injury list on Thursday as a DNP, but I think it was more personal related. So I think for the most part, the Cowboys should be good to go. They're going to get Perrion Winfrey coming back as well, another defensive tackle. And then Solomon Thomas, I think, is also coming back from his calf injury. So the Cowboys will have more defensive tackles than they know what to do with. And then last thing I'll just mention is Dak Prescott was on the injury report with a hip, but it sounds like it's very minor, and they just had to mention it. But he was a full participant yesterday.
All right, so some good news on that front. And before we look to this Sunday, I want to talk about that Raiders game just a little bit. Dak in the offense putting up a bunch of points again, really seeming to be clicking after, a rough time against the Cardinals. Is it safe to say that they're back?
I think we'll see this week, right? Like, I mean, the Raiders were not exactly a huge threat especially on that side of the ball for the Cowboys. But I think, what we're hoping is that the week off has gotten a chance for guys like Beebe and Booker, who have been dealing with injuries at different points, to get a little bit healthier. CeeDee Lamb as well, who had an ankle injury, came back, but I think it's just been kind of struggling through. Just another week for all those guys to get some rest. Everybody came out of that game mostly healthy. So I think this is going to be the real test, especially for this young offensive line against this Eagles defensive line, to see if they've got everything sorted and they're all kind of pointed in the right direction as they end the season.
Focusing in on the defense, the debut of new Cowboy Quinnen Williams, he really showed up. What does he add to this team?
Just a dominant presence inside. I mean, I think we saw the effect that he had with the way the rest of his teammates played around him, right? I mean, Quinnen Williams himself had a sack and a half, but you saw improved play from Kenny Clark. You saw improved play from Osa Odigizua. You saw, I think, improved play from Ezra Raku as well on the outside. He's just a gravity player. He pulls a lot of attention towards him, and that just makes the jobs of all the folks around him a lot easier. And I think we saw that against the Raiders. We'll see against a little bit more difficult task with the Eagles if that same sort of impact translates this week.
Staying with the defense for another question, they got DeMarvion Overshown back after injury took him out for nearly a year, 343 days. How much does that mean to this team?
It means a lot. I mean, look, he's an explosive. When he's right, he's on an all-pro type of level, and we saw that at different points in the last 2 years. I think he's still kind of working his way back from what was obviously a very devastating injury. He came back a lot sooner than a lot of folks think, so I think it does require some patience as he kind of gets back up to the speed of the game, and also just gets comfortable with his leg. I think I noticed him a couple different times during the game adjusting his sleeve. It's about comfort with the ACL injuries. It's about feeling comfortable with your knees again. So it just might take him a little bit of time to kind of get back up to speed. But once he does, he is one of the better players at linebacker in the NFL.
All right, last question for you. I know we've got less than a minute left. Cowboys going against Jalen Hurts and the Eagles this weekend. What are your 3 keys to this game?
Well, I think the first thing is that you've got to contain Jalen Hurts in the pocket, right? Like, you've got to make his life uncomfortable, because the one thing he would like to do is, if he can't get to his first read, then he wants to bail and run the football and get outside the pocket and create with his legs, either on the edge throwing the football or just running the ball. And the Cowboys, with the addition of Quinnen Williams, I think is going to be able to crunch that pocket a little bit more, which I think is going to limit him to be staying inside the pocket. And when you do that, and he's in a traditional drop back situation, he's a very middling quarterback. The numbers kind of show that. I think for the Cowboys offense, they have got to find a way to establish the run again this week. I know that seems kind of a cliche, but against this Eagles defense, you cannot get one-dimensional. You cannot let them just pin their ears back and come after Dak Prescott. That will be a disastrous situation for the Cowboys offense. And then finally, they just have to play a smart game. The Eagles are the Super Bowl champions. They're a very difficult team to win. They have found ways to win these games despite not always playing good football, and that's just because Usually at the end of these games, they just play very consistent football. They don't give the ball away. The Cowboys have to do the same thing. No mistakes, lessen the penalties, no fumbles, contain the ball, and they can win this game.
All right, Landon McCool getting us ready for Sunday. We so appreciate you joining us on a Friday. And y'all, don't miss Landon daily on his Locked On Cowboys podcast. You can also catch the newest episode today at 1 p.m. on our streaming app, WFAA Plus. And if you don't have it yet, what are you doing? Download WFAA Plus on your TV. It's free. And don't forget our call-in show on Monday so you can give us your thoughts on Sunday's Cowboys-Eagles showdown. That's at 11:30 right here after midday.